Welcome to Roll Call. My name is Hana and I will be your host for this evening. Tonight we have a pretty special edition where we are interviewing 4 female Italian characters from different time periods and socioeconomic classes. These women all represent various archetypes in their respective films. Before each interview, we have the audience vote on which archetype they thought the character best represented. Now, let's dive into what an archetype actually is. In cinema, an archetype is essentially a universal figure that people can identify with. These are the classic 7 archetypes. Don't worry, these archetypes will all be explained throughout the show. Anywho, our first guest was featured in the 1961 drama La Notte. According to our audience polls, Lidia was characterized as the lover, suggesting a primal urge to connect and create, along with the queen, who represents loyalty and protects the sanctity of marriage. Please welcome to the stage, Lidia. Welcome to Roll Call, Lidia. Based on our definitions, would you agree with the audience?
Although I don't think it's fair to simplify me or any woman into such categories, I would say that I can relate to these archetypes. But then again, what woman wouldn't?
How did you feel about your marriage with Giovanni at the time?
At the time, I honestly felt like giving up. However, as a woman of the 60s, I really valued the institution of marriage and also what Giovanni and I had built for ourselves. When I called Giovanni into the bathroom to discuss our plans that evening, I was overcome with this deep love that I just had to express. However, when he didn't even take a second glance at me, it only reassured this sinking feeling I had that our relationship was coming to an end.
It's actually really great that you mentioned that moment because we wanted to show our audience you're seen as the lover anyway.
Senti Giovanni.
Sì, dimmi.
Non mi va di stare in casa.
Andiamo dai Gherardini.
Andiamo dove vuoi, ma non stiamo in casa.
Ma sì, andiamo lì.
Wow, what an intimate moment. What was the significance of your attempt to seduce Giovanni?
I loved Giovanni for the longest time, and I wanted to be the best wife for him. But along the way, I felt like I lost a sense of who I was, not only as a person, but within our marriage. I think that many couples, especially of our class, get bored with each other over time.
Interesting. Let's talk more about you guys getting bored of each other. Could that have been partially why you ran off with this mystery man in the next scene? Let's take a look.
Mi scusi, non posso.
You know, it actually kind of seemed like the camera lost interest in what was actually happening inside the car. It seemed like the combination of the dim street light and the rain, it all just sort of emphasized you running away with another man. I think it added some drama, don't you think, folks? For the first time in the movie, we see you pretty genuinely happy with this mystery man, in a moment that could have led to infidelity. Could you explain what that was about and why you acted the way you did? Do you think it was a turning point or a mini apotheosis for you, as suggested by critic Peter Brunette?
That was definitely a weak moment of mine. Looking back, everything leading up to that moment was just adding to the fact that I knew my marriage was over. But when I had the opportunity of having the affair, I couldn't actually bring myself to doing it. I wanted to lead my marriage faithfully and respectfully, not just for myself, but for Giovanni.
Alright, well, thank you so much for coming out today, Lidia. Let's fast forward to the next decade. According to historian Carlo Testa, Italy faced vast profit and consumer growth in the 70s, which led to significant lifestyle improvements. During a time of economic momentum, it's only fitting that our next guest is a protester, a student, and a factory worker herself. From the 1971 film La Classe Operaia va in Paradiso, please put your hands together for Adalgisa! Welcome! How did you feel when you first started working at the factory?
Well, given that it was the 70s and basically a man's world, I really was one of the first and only women to be working in the factory.
Interesting wording there, a man's world. Could you elaborate on that, please? What was it like being a minority in your workplace?
What happened was that I ended up feeling helpless and disrespected a lot of the time. In fact, almost every day I was sexually harassed at the factory in some shape or form, particularly by my coworker Lulu. One day he even took it way too far and convinced me to lose my virginity before I was even ready.
Wow, I'm really sorry to hear that. That must have been really scary for you. Is it okay if we take a look?
I guess.
Aia, porca, mi fai male.
No, che non è mica niente. Ma dai, cosa ti faccio? Ti ho fatto qualcosa fino adesso?
Male.
Ma no, che non ti ho fatto niente. No, aspetta, adesso mi fa male.
Già, io
No,
non
guarda,
riesco più a
con calma.
muovermi.
Con calma.
Dove vado?
Aspetta.
Dov'è che mi metto?
Looking back on your experience with Lulu, how do you feel about that now?
Looking back, I feel like I was forced into a situation I didn't really want to be in. I thought that I wanted to be with Lulu because he seemed like such a hardworking and charismatic man. But when he took me to this creepy, abandoned warehouse, I felt a bit uneasy about what was going to happen. I didn't even have a say.
Now, going back to the female archetypes, you were categorized as the maiden by our viewers, suggesting that your youthfulness is what made you compliant and passive. Taking into account what you just shared with us, would you agree?
If in that moment I was considered the maiden, so be it. But I hope you can put yourself in my shoes. It's not so easy to be assertive when a physically stronger and older man with a famously short temper at that forces himself onto you.
Well, Adalgisa, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but thank you so much for sharing your story with us and for joining us today. Our next guest was featured as the religion teacher in the 2011 film Corpo Celeste. She is a devout Christian, a loving educator, and the embodiment of a saint, which is fitting given her name. Please welcome Santa! Welcome to Roll Call. So Santa, can you explain your spiritual connection to the church?
Well, I grew up in a religious household, so it was all I've ever known, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I trust Jesus that He will lead me through every obstacle that I've had and will have in my life.
Beautiful. And as we know, you play a pretty important role at the church. Let's take a look.
Hai visto Ignazio?
No, veramente no, mi dispiace.
Grazie.
E Don Mario, scusi, non vuole ascoltare la canzone che abbiamo preparato con i bambini per la cresima?
You seemed very caring and patient with the children as their teacher. Would you say that you naturally exhibit maternal instincts since, you were categorized as the mother by our audience?
Considering I've never had children of my own, I would say that I loved and enjoyed teaching them. It's always been a passion of mine of sharing His story, and especially with the kids in our neighborhood. Many of them didn't have it easy, and so if they can relate to the Bible in any way, I would be content.
I think that's a sentiment that we can all relate to. However, our audience also voted you as the sage, suggesting that you were in pursuit of knowledge. Let's take a look at this instance.
Posso permettermi una domanda? Ma a Don Mario di preciso dov'è che lo trasferiscono?
Come mai questa domanda bizzarra?
No, sapete, siccome fra di noi c'è una certa intimità e mi ha confidato che forse lo trasferivano in una parrocchia più famosa.
Signora, chi è lei?
Santa.
Sì, ma per nostra Santa Madre Chiesa chi è? Cosa rappresenta?
Given your curiosity about the priest's transfer, do you think that the sage is an accurate depiction of your personality?
Since the priest didn't disclose any information about his transfer, and because I was so devoted to the parish, I wanted to know if we needed to search for a new leader. I know that approaching the bishop could have been perceived as nosy, but I wanted to go straight to the source to get the answer I was looking for.
That's wonderful. It definitely takes a determined woman to do something like that. Well, Santa, thank you so much for joining us today. We will now be interviewing one of Santa's students, Marta, who was featured as the protagonist in Corpo Celeste. Although she's only 13 years old, she is probably one of the bravest girls in southern Italy. Let's give her a warm welcome, folks. Here's Marta. Welcome to the show, Marta. How did you feel about moving back to such a small and religious town all the way from Switzerland?
Well, I definitely was a little scared. I only knew my family that lived here, and I didn't really have any friends.
That must have been tough. How do you feel like that affected your identity as a 13-year-old?
I think I was a little lost within this community. People didn't seem to understand me here. Part of me just wanted to go my own way, but all the adults just kept telling me what to do.
Well, it's actually interesting you say that, because our audience voted you for the huntress, meaning that you're autonomous and want to live your own life. Let's see an example.
Tieni.
According to famous critic Nicholas Albanese, this scene showcased your disregard for materialism and social norms. He even compared you to Jesus in the sense that you both seemed to be social outcasts. Was this a way to refute the beauty norms set by society?
Honestly, I was just really overwhelmed by everything. You know, moving to a new country, trying to fit in, my teacher slapping me in front of my peers, and all just added up. I just wanted to take action and control of my own choices for once.
We've all been there. Now, if we were to analyze the scene technically speaking, we notice that, unlike in the rest of the movie, you are being framed in the center of the shot, indicating the importance of this moment in your character development. Also, the various close-ups emphasize this loss of identity that you were trying to replace. Do you think this was an important part of your spiritual journey and the search for your identity?
I think looking back, it was. I mean, it did make me feel a little more confident, even though my mom thought I was just causing more problems.
This clearly must have been a hard time for you. Let's take a closer look at your spiritual journey.
Cosa vuol dire Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani?
Eli, Eli. È un grido. È Gesù che urla. Mio Dio, perché mi hai abbandonato?
Perché urla?
Perché è arrabbiato.
Considering this was the second time you asked about the significance of this phrase, it's no wonder our audience also voted you for the mystic archetype, which is somebody who focuses on internal goals and inner fulfillment. How did you feel at this moment? Did you find the answers you were looking for?
Well, when I finally got my answer from this other priest, it was the first time where I didn't feel so lost anymore. The first time where I could actually connect to someone in my life and all of his ongoing struggles. I finally understood what Santa, as well as the parish, were preaching this whole time.
I'm so glad your spiritual journey ended well. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Marta. Well, folks, there you have it. We here at Roll Call hope you noticed the reliance of stereotyping women in classic Italian cinemas. Hope you enjoyed the show.